VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Welcome back. There is a headline up right now on vsin.com in a story. It's called Massachusetts Legalizes Sports Betting. It's written by our very own Josh Applebaum, who hosts here on VSiN later in the day with Mike Pritchard on Betting Across America, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. And Josh is kind enough to join us here early this morning to talk about this and his story. Josh, thanks for the time. First of all, when did you find out? This passed at, I believe, 5:10 a.m. Eastern time today. When did you maybe hear that this could actually happen earlier this morning?
Yeah, so Mitch and Paulie, it's great to be with you and join you on Follow the Money. And an absolutely massive day for sports bettors, for Boston, for New England. We finally legalized betting. But to answer your question here, Mitch, I heard some inklings. There was a deadline actually at midnight for them to pass this. Remember, this was the end of the legislative session. They've been debating this, for years and years and years. There's been a huge impasse here. You had a bill from the House and the Senate. They couldn't come to an agreement. But I have some sources, guys. I've been in New England long enough. I grew up in the Berkshires of Western Mass. I've been out in Boston since I was 21. I'm now 35. I had some people sliding into my DMs. I was talking to some reporters. I have some people who know people who work in the legislature, and they were telling me, don't be so quick to dismiss this thing. There was kind of late steam, that S word that I like to use, toward legalizing betting. And people were saying, hey, this may finally be it. This is our closest chance to it. And really, it was all about a compromise. The whole thing was the compromise. They came to an agreement, guys. But to answer your question, it was this late inkling, people telling me this thing, don't go to bed. Don't go to bed. They kept telling me that. I haven't slept all night, guys. It's an all-nighter, my first one since college, but it was well worth it. And we can finally hashtag Let Us Bet in Massachusetts.
What was one of the reasons for the holdup?
Yeah, I think the big one, Paulie, there was college betting. This was a big impasse here because the two bills that came out of the House and the Senate, the House bill was the one that the sports bettors really loved because that really would allow college betting. It would allow more skins. It had better tax rates. The Senate version, and I think a lot what you heard is the Senate didn't really want to pass sports betting. They didn't want to allow college betting whatsoever because, a lot of these politicians were saying the universities in Boston are telling us don't legalize it. The integrity of the game, all these kind of, old taboo things that you hear that are pretty much over with now. But the compromise was Senate didn't want college, the House wanted it. And the reason they got it passed today is they came to a compromise and they took a page out of the page of the book of New Jersey, guys. Our friend Thomas Gable down at the Borgata. If you go to the Borgata, you can't bet on Rutgers. You can't bet on in-state schools. Mm-hmm. The agreement today was reached because they decided, hey, we'll allow college. You're in Massachusetts, you can bet on Alabama or Kentucky, but you can't bet on BC or UMass. That's okay with me, guys. We got it done. That's the holdup, and that's inevitably what got this thing done, agreeing to the compromise.
How do the overall taxes break down on this?
Yeah, so the taxes is actually pretty decent here, Mitch. They kind of split the difference here on basically the different rates. So there'll be a 20% tax on operators for mobile betting. That mobile betting is the, biggest way to bet on sports. I love going out to Vegas, walking into a sports book, but if you look at the handles, about 90% of all the money comes from mobile, not from in-person wagering. So it's 20% taxes on mobile. It's 15% on retail. You're also going to get 7 mobile licenses. So this is great for bettors. You're going to be able to shop for the best line. There's going to be different books that you can open up accounts at, try to find the best number. And you also will have sports books at race books and casinos. So the Encore, which is right outside of Boston, they've had the sports book ready to go there for a year. They can cut the ribbon. That thing's ready to go. This is fantastic news for all the bettors in New England.
Will it be ready for football?
That's what we're hoping here, Paul. What you heard from Senator Michael Rodriguez, who was one of the negotiators here and made a really big play and really was one of the leaders to get this thing done. He said hopefully by football it will be available. That's a pretty quick turnaround here. Typically, when you see a state legalize, it takes a year. Sometimes if this happens, they'll say, oh, maybe by March Madness. But the fact that they're saying football, and that's only, guys, we know, a month and a half, 2 months away, it's really not far at all. The fact that could be ready by then, that's a great sign here. Tells me that they're ready to go, and you could flip the switch pretty quick here.
How big is sports betting in Massachusetts?
Oh, it's huge. I can just tell you guys from my group of friends, betting on sports, we always were watching these other states legalize. So if you go in any direction, up north, New Hampshire, they're legal. New York just legalized, obviously. Their mobile betting handle is now the biggest in the country. Connecticut legalized. Rhode Island legalized. My first legal wager there was in Rhode Island on the Patriots in the 2018 Super Bowl against the Rams here. So it's big. People have wanted this for so long. People have been so perplexed. Why hasn't it happened? All this money has been flowing out of the state. I can tell you, I have countless friends that on a Sunday, we'll drive up to New Hampshire, stop at a Dunkin' Donuts, bet on the Patriots, and come right back to Massachusetts. So that is now over with. It's big. This also takes away a lot of offshores. It takes away a lot of illegal bookies.
Yep.
This is great to get it regulated and above board and let everybody do it safely with a lot of safeguards in place.
Josh, we were blown away in December when we made that trip out to Foxwoods for a couple of days. And the amount of people who watch on Nesson who live in that state, in Massachusetts, are like, why isn't this happening? This needs to take place right now. They were making like a 2-hour drive to come out and see us. And when exactly what you just said, they would drive to New Hampshire, they would drive to Connecticut, they would drive wherever else. They're like, we have to be able to have this now, and finally today is the big day.
It is. It's unbelievable, guys. And you kind of scratch your head. You're like, why did it take so long? Obviously, they had differing agreements. Also, if you look at the Massachusetts budget here, they have a big surplus. So I think a lot of these states that legalize betting because of COVID and they're really, strapped for cash, it's kind of a money play, and it makes total sense here. But Massachusetts, they didn't have that big pressure because their surplus was pretty good for the state overall. But I think they felt a lot of pressure from their constituents, and just from the standpoint of, why is this money going to other states and not us?
Yep.
It became kind of a, why are we left out? As Massachusetts, we kind of, pride ourselves on being a leader on a lot of issues. We were a follower here. So I give them a little bit of credit. They wanted to do it right. That took time, studying other states, finding out what states, did it right, did it wrong. It took much longer than I wanted, guys, but better late than never, and we finally got it.
You can read an article by Josh at vsin.com. Massachusetts legalizes sports betting. What is your favorite Bill Russell stat?
Oh, man, we were talking about this right before the show, guys. 21-0 in winner-take-all games. I mean, unbelievable. I grew up with Tom Brady being the greatest champion, the greatest winner of all time. But I knew Bill Russell only from the stories that my dad would tell me. And if you're watching Dad, he sent me a text. It was a sad day for a lot of New Englanders because Bill Russell was an icon. It wasn't just how great of a player he was. There's actually a 6-minute clip going around on the internet showing what a great athlete he was, what a great player. I think you hear that he's a winner, but you don't realize he was a great player. So it wasn't just on the court, it was off the court, being an activist, dealing with a lot of racism, the first, African-American head coach in the NBA. So it's a really sad day here. Ironically, we're happy about betting, but so sad to see Bill Russell go. And, I think a lot of NBA players owe a debt of gratitude to Bill Russell for what he did and the way he paved the way for today's players.
Yep. You can follow Josh on Twitter. He is at Josh_insights, and catch him weekdays at 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific, with Mike Pritchard and Betting Across America. Josh, great job. Thanks for the time today. We appreciate that.
I appreciate it, guys. Have a great day.
Good job.
Look
Thank
at
you.
those accolades, Paulie, on Russell.
I am watching the Red Sox game yesterday on Nesson, and they have Bob Ryan in the booth. And I backed it. I go, what did he say? 21-0 in winner-go-home games?
Yeah.
I think he had 30 points and 40 rebounds in a Game 7. Ridiculous.
Yeah, you can
what
throw,
he had? I go, what, 21-0?
You can basically throw any numbers at me that you would like, and I'd be like, yeah, that sounds about right with
the
him.
winning streak at San Francisco, 11 titles in 13 years. How about this? His quote. I started blocking shots, although I never seen shots blocked before that. The first time I blocked a shot in a game, my coach called a timeout and said, no good defensive player ever leaves his feet. Incredible.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So that photo, I don't know if you guys want to go back to the one real quick, guys. The photo of him sitting there with his head in his hands, I think that was he did that before in a response to Michael Jordan winning 6 rings, and he put a ring on every single one of his fingers, and he's like, yeah, I got one left over. He's like, talk to me when he gets to 10. Then we can have a conversation. And he had 11.
Wow.
I mean, just
what a resume. The ultimate winner.
Oh, no question.
Yeah.
You could always point to him as the ultimate guy in this country, as the number one winner ever in any sport. And he played at the same time as Wilt. And Wilt won 2, but those Celtics teams, and a lot because of Russell, obviously, were just better. And they own that generation, basically. I was going to say that window. Window's not long enough, obviously, because it was such a long run for Red and Kuzi and Bill and everybody else on those teams. 88 years old. The video that made the rounds again yesterday, when he's up on stage with Mutombo and a bunch of other centers, and he looks at him and he's like, I'd still kick your ass. And he laughs about it.
I think it was Kareem was on there, too.
Was Kareem on there still?
Yeah. Points to all of them. Like giving people the finger. I like that.
He really did.
Like to joke around with the middle finger.
Yep.
That was funny.
Yep. All right, the first hour of Follow the Money is brought to you exclusively by BetRivers, your hometown sportsbook. Get a 100% first deposit match bonus now with the code 250MATCH. Must be 21 plus. Offers not valid in all areas. Check betrivers.com for full offer details and rules. Also, today on the old agenda, we are supposed to, according to reports, find out the ruling by Sue Robinson, who is in charge here of the Deshaun Watson versus the NFL case, right? How long is he going to get? How many games will he miss? What's the suspension going to be? We're supposed to get that in the next hour and 5 minutes, according to those reports. Michael Lombardi will join the program coming up next. What is he hearing? What is he expecting the news to be today with Deshaun Watson? We'll ask him coming up next.